You're listening to Left at the Valley 2.0, Atheist, Skeptic, and Humanist Radio.
Hi, this is Aaron Ron. I took a left at the Valley.
Fantastic.
I know we shouldn't have to scream that we're atheists. You know, we don't have non-astrologers and all that. But with the religious people taking over the world, I mean, we can either speak up or be pushed into a corner.
I'm proud to be an atheist, a skeptic, a non-believer, an infidel, a heathen. I call it how I see it. I say it's ignorance and you just call it faith and unsubstantiated claims. That's something to be ashamed. I'm an atheist.
Coming at you from Rady, BC, Alligator, Florida, and Coat Hanger, Texas. This is Left at the Valley 2.0. My name is Kevin, and if you hear 20 minutes of moaning coming from my bedroom, that's just me trying to get up.
Joining Sabrina doesn't push you out the bed.
That's it. That's what it is.
Joining me is a team that realized that cow farts come from dairy air.
I don't know if I'm tired or if that is actually just really funny.
That's pretty
Her
good.
ducks are in a row. She doesn't even know where they are right now. Sabrina.
Hey.
And he failed math so many times in school he can't even count. Bradley.
That's probably true. Yes. Accurate.
And it takes a lot of balls to play golf the way he does. Benjamin.
Yes.
That is accurate.
This golf is terrible.
Uh-huh.
Guys, welcome back.
Thanks.
And this show is brought to you by our patrons. You too can become a patron and go to patreon.com/LATV and help us grow the show. All right. Excellent, guys. Hope you had a great week.
Mm-hmm.
So today we'll be talking to our good old friend, Dr. Hector Garcia. In the second half of the show, we'll be talking about wokeness and tribalism. But first, let's do our usual chit-chat. Actually, even before that, we have a bit of announcement.
We do have an announcement.
Because we had the trilogy
Drum
of
roll,
Time Shards.
please. We had the contest to win the autographed copy of the Time Shards trilogy.
And our winner
It ended on Friday, and our winner is...
Don't tell him. Just keep it dramatic. Wait.
Keeping
Don't.
it totally
Don't.
dramatic? Just suspense?
Are we wait. Okay, tell him now. Fine. Tired of it.
Jennifer Galindo. Galindo. I hope I didn't butcher your name. We've sent you an email, so
congratulations, Jennifer. You win the trilogy, autograph
copies
of the trilogy of Time
All
Shards
3
by
books.
David Fitzgerald and Dana Fretzy.
Thank you.
And excellent. So that's our first
Keep
winner.
listening, because I have a feeling that we're going to have more of these contests to come.
Yes, exactly. Perfect.
More contests I can't enter. Thanks, Sabrina.
Oh,
Oh, okay. All right. Let's get into our chit chat. Guys, did you hear that scientists have now confirmed the first cases of leprosy in chimpanzees?
Really?
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Apparently, it's
But we're not related to chimps, though.
yes, as you. My family tree, trust me, we are. It's a bit of a mystery as to how the chimps caught the disease. This is presented in the Journal of Nature. They've documented 2 wild populations, which are actually not even close together, actually separated by 1,000 kilometers.
Wow.
That's about 621 miles for our American friends, in the Côte d'Ivoire in Africa. They noticed the lesions on the face and hair loss from some of these chimps, and it basically confirmed by taking some poop samples.
Wow.
Now, the genotype, when they analyzed the disease in the bacterial strains, suggests that it was unlikely that it was actually from contact with humans.
Really?
Yeah. So it's a bit of a mystery as to how the species would have contracted the disease, but apparently leprosy and the bacteria that causes leprosy can live in some water environments or some dirt. So it would seem that it came from the environment itself. But at this point, we're not exactly sure.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. I mean, poor monkeys, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I hear leprosy is pretty bad, from what I understand.
Yeah, and
So
it's always funny. I find leprosy funny because, of course, this being an atheist show, they always talk about Jesus cured the leper. We can cure leprosy today.
Mm-hmm.
We have medication that does that. And
Thank you, science.
It didn't need no miracle. It didn't need no miracle. No offense, Jesus. If you came on planet, why the hell did you cure one leper? Why didn't you just eliminate leprosy to begin with? Why
Exactly.
cure just one guy?
Just give us the vaccine, dude. Like what?
Same reason why God gives us cancer in children,
Yes.
to test our faith.
Because he doesn't exist. Oh, the faith thing. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Did you guys hear that Canadian actor William Shatner,
Mm-hmm.
as AKA Captain Kirk,
Oh yeah.
just became the oldest person in space at the age of 90.
90 years old.
Quote from him: "It was not like anything like they described." He flew on the Blue Origin spaceship from Jeff Bezos there with 3 more passengers, and that was last Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
They flew up about 107 kilometers up into space, which is about 65 miles up. And they went right over West Texas. And then the capsule parachuted down. It was about a 10-minute flight, actually. And he was subjected to about 6G, 6 times the force of gravity. So,
wow.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It is.
Fun.
So
I'm sure he loved the weightlessness because being 90, everything hurts, and just not having it.
You feel great.
But you know what? The funny thing is he had to be in a fairly decent shape to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to be able to be mobile enough to go up and down flights of stairs, and they kind of do like a
fitness test.
Yeah, a bit like a fire drill.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because they say, okay, well, we'll take you to the capsule and let's pretend there's a fire, there's a problem. Okay, we got to evacuate real quick. You got to be able to physically move that fast. So it seems that William Shatner, Captain Kirk, is fit enough to go into space. So that's pretty cool, actually. And of course, it was a masterstroke of promotion by Jeff Bezos. Obviously.
Of course.
So that's gonna be interesting to see how it goes into promoting space travel and space tourism down the future.
I wonder if when he looked down, he saw that the Earth was flat.
I did see a meme out there that had him basically said, "The Earth is round. I can confirm." And it was a picture.
Can confirm.
Can confirm. Is a sphere.
But don't forget, the flat earthers will tell you that it's just the top part.
The disc.
And it's flat.
Well, they're just lying. I'll just say they're lying.
Just part of the deep.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Sorry.
They're in on it.
Yeah, deep
They're
state,
big
deep state.
science.
Right.
In sadder news, did you guys hear in Norway? There's a little town called Kornsberg. This is near Oslo. A Danish man who converted to Islam attacked and killed 5 people with a bow and arrow.
Wow.
Yeah, he's
proof you don't need guns to go on a rampage.
Well, that's true. But so he went out into the public and basically started shooting people. He shot 4 women and 1 man. They were all aged between the age of 15 and 17 years old. The suspect is named, oh boy, Espen Andersen Braden. He was 37. Well, he is 37 years old. He was already being monitored by the police because the suspect has a history of being in and out of mental institutions, and then he fell into Islam.
So he was just primed to be
radicalized.
Yeah.
So I think that's very interesting, though, because this is an act of terrorism, but it would have been a lot worse if he had an AK-47.
It would have been a lot worse with an AK-47.
Yeah. So I mean, at the same time, this is an argument for gun control.
So sorry, he shot those people. Did they survive?
No, he killed 5 of them.
He did kill 5.
He also shot a police officer who survived. Yeah. Apparently,
yeah.
Police officer.
Could you imagine if that was an AK-47 and he was shooting?
Could have done way more damage.
Way worse. Be like 32 or some shit.
At least, and that's the thing is that when you argue gun control to the United States and people from left, right, center, they all have the same answers, and it's often, well, you don't get it. It's different here than it is elsewhere. We have to have our guns because everybody has guns, and we have to protect ourselves because if we don't protect ourselves, we're going to fucking die. Even when you put the statistics in their face that you're more likely to die by your own gun than you are by somebody else's gun, or that you are more likely to die by a gun if you have a gun in the home, or like... Anyway, sorry, rant over.
So this is the worst act of terrorism they had in Norway for at least 10, 20 years. I think the last one happened like in 2011, actually, where there was a man that kind of lost kind of his mind. He ended up killing like 77 people or something like that.
Wow, how did he do that?
the details are far. I can't remember.
Anyway, I'll look it up. We don't.
It kind of made the rounds because the guy was like a blonde hair. It almost looked like a fitness model kind of guy, and he just lost his mind. And anyway, hopefully this guy will get the attention and the mental help he needs.
Well, he is in a country that probably is
much more progressive health wise than the U.S. or Canada at this point.
Exactly.
Anyway, let's move on. Sabrina, you got a top 10 for us?
I do. So, as you know, it's October, and October means Halloween. So we're gonna have us a Halloween top 10 cheap but punny Halloween costumes.
Cheap but punny Halloween
cheap
costumes?
but punny. Just
okay.
It's punny. Just okay.
Don't you like punny? What's a punny costume?
Don't you like puns? You love puns, Kevin. Aren't you 90% puns?
Never heard of something punny?
Like I do, but I mean puns are words. So how do you do a punny costume? That's what I'm curious here.
That's what I'm here for.
Oh, yay!
So number 10, go to the dollar store. Pardon me. Let's start this again. Number 10, go to the dollar store, get some yellow poster board, cut it out in the shape of a big potato chip, attach it to your shoulder, and what do you have? A chip on your shoulder.
Oh God.
Nice.
Super cheap, cost you $1.
Okay, so this is gonna be the kind of list. All right.
Yeah. Number 9.
This is why we don't have many listeners.
I'm insulted. Number 9, go get yourself a set of angel wings and a halo, but don't wear a white dress or a suit. Get a shirt covered in avocados. And then what are you? Holy guacamole.
Nice.
An avocado is not guacamole.
I know, but have you ever seen what guacamole looks like? It would not look good on a shirt.
You can carry around a tomato and an onion, okay? Jeez.
You could carry around guacamole too if you wanted to.
Just slather real guacamole all over your shirt.
Right. Your shirt, your chest.
It'd only be green for like 3 seconds, and then it turns brown.
Exactly. I'm gonna just cover my entire body in guacamole.
Then everybody's gonna be like, "See, holy shit, he's holy
I'm
shit."
Walk around going, "Where are the fucking chips?"
That's probably gonna be a guy chasing you a piece of bread.
Hey, you could go with the person who's a chip
couple
on
costume. Yeah, chip on their shoulder and guacamole.
There we go. Finally, Brianna.
There's your couple. Yeah, there's your couple's costume. You're good.
Points for that. Chips and dip. That's good. That's good.
So number 8, dress up like a cat, and then also attach multiple pictures of your cat to your costume. And what do you got? A copycat.
Oh.
Okay, so listen. No. So Amy's doing this. She's got cat ears, something similar. She's got cat ears, and she's going to put a name tag that says Control C.
That works. Copycat. I love it.
Copycat.
Oh, clever.
There's a good one. So here's the number 7. Go to the hardware store. This is actually like a virtually free costume. Go to the hardware store. Go to the paint section. Get all the gray paint chips. Go home. Attach them to a plain gray shirt. When people ask you who you are, you say you're 50 Shades of Grey.
Hashtag not my Christian.
Another good this is another costume, couple's costume, so it's a really easy, cheap costume. One of you dresses up all in green. The other one just has a white shirt on that says envy. You're green. Yeah.
Green envy.
Green envy.
Oh, God. This is
I told you it was punny.
You know, after this list, nobody is allowed to ever make comment on my puns ever again.
Mine are better.
Go ahead, Chip.
The next one, wear again all black. It's really easy to wear all black. Get one of those cheap burglar masks. The little black ones. Tie it around, and then go to the dollar store. Buy a bunch of "Hi, my name is" tags. Slap them on all over you. Write someone's names all over. And then you're an identity thief. Super easy. These are all great. You don't know what the hell to do because you got invited last minute. You're like, shit, what am I supposed to do?
Right.
Okay, so another really good couple's costume is number 4. You get dressed up in your Sunday finest. You put on an animal mask. And voila, you're party animals.
Oh,
Nice. Need a Hawaiian shirt. That's what you need. A Hawaiian shirt.
That's coming up.
Oh, okay.
Number 3, go to the dollar store. Get I love the dollar store. Can you tell?
Oh yeah.
Get a pair of those, the disguise glasses with the fake nose and the mustache.
Oh.
Yeah. Get a white shirt. Get a Sharpie. Write blessing on the shirt, and there you go. You're a blessing in disguise.
Ah, nice. That's pretty good. Actually, I like that one.
So I actually have a friend whose last name is Blessing, and she was talking about her costume, and blessing in disguise.
Sorry?
I don't know what's happened. The internet.
Hey, we lost you, and you lost us for a second.
Oh no!
Okay.
So I was saying, so I have a friend whose last name is Blessing, and she was talking about what kind of costume she was going to wear, and I said, no matter what you wear, you're a blessing in disguise.
Nice.
There you go. That's perfect.
That's good.
So number 2, if you have an old Hawaiian shirt lying around, put it on, get a little plastic lei, a fake grass skirt, some old boxing gloves, and you've got Hawaiian punch.
Offensive.
And
That is offensive. Cultural appropriation in pun fashion. I don't think so.
And number 1, cheap punny costume. Get a skirt or make a skirt out of newspaper. Put on a white shirt, write the word fake on it, and there you go. Your fake news.
Fake news. Nice.
Okay, so I got a couple to add to this list. So there's one I've seen where someone wore a galaxy dress, a doctor's coat, and a stethoscope. They were universal healthcare.
Oh, that's perfect. Have you seen?
And then there's another one. Well, there's another one that Amy did where she just got like poster board and tied two of them together, painted the letter P on it, and then did her eye black, so she was a black-eyed P.
That's actually pretty good. There you go.
Have you seen the one night stand? You go as a table.
That's good. I was trying to figure out a way to be a meme, and I'm not really sure how to do it other than maybe like doing like a border, like where you get like a picture frame and you just like carry it around and have a shirt that says like clever words here, and then I always make a face like
that works.
There you go. The list of submarine the mentality and values of left of the valley subsidiaries, crews, employees.
Hey, cheap and punny, and they're great.
Right.
I'm like the queen of Halloween. I'm not a huge Halloween fan. I'm sorry. So
blasphemy.
I like Halloween, but I've never been one to like go to Halloween parties as an adult. So finding a costume can be hard. Those are super easy.
I'm actually going to a Halloween party this year because it's on a weekend, so I can actually make it.
I've been invited, but I don't think I'm gonna go.
All right.
Well, that's lame.
Okay. I know I'm lame.
Unbelievably lame.
All right. It's time for things that make you go.
I'm going. All right. So let's see here, Christchurch, New Zealand. They recently had to let go of someone who works for them. They said the decision was a difficult one. They explained that their promotional landscape is changing to increasingly reflect our diverse communities and showcase a vibrant, diverse, modern city that is attracted to residents, domestic and international visitors, etc. Right? But so the person that they let go of did recently put a tweet out that said, "I love women. I forgive them all the time. I've never struck one yet. Never strike a woman because they bruise too easily is the first thing, and they'll tell their neighbors and their friends, and then you're in big trouble." Right? So this is controversial, right? And they fired him for fairly good reason here. But you're probably all thinking to yourself, why is this the things that make you go,
Yeah, no kidding. Except for that,
Well, so here's the deal. It's basically what's going on here is it was the official city wizard.
What?
What's a
city wizard?
They let go of their official city wizard after 2 decades.
Wow.
Do all cities have a wizard or just like that one?
Yeah.
I don't think so. He's so much so he's known as the Wizard of New Zealand, apparently even on official documents, including his passport.
So basically, the city basically told him, "You shall not pass."
Yeah. The city's
And
been
New
paying
Zealand's
him.
not a city, by the way, right? Like,
No, but this is in Christchurch where they had him working. So they paid him about an annual income of about 16,000 New Zealand money. He provides acts of wizardry, wow, and other wizard-like services as part of promotional work for the city of Christchurch.
the fuck are
So
other
a city
wizard
called
services?
Christchurch has a wizard.
As a wizard, yes.
Do you not see the irony in something called Christchurch
And
having a
A
wizard?
wizard.
it kind of goes against the religion, doesn't
I
it?
get the part.
But
And
The
what is
wizard said that they let him go because they're a bunch of bureaucrats with no imagination.
I mean, careful. Bureaucrats bruise easily too, apparently. It's like, holy jeez.
He's like, I was gonna come and give him a ring and send him on an adventure, but I'm not going to now.
Right. No adventures for you,
All
jerk.
right, I'm going for it myself. There. And you
Yeah,
said
but imagine being in a city that has an official wizard.
Yeah, let's move there.
well, that's brilliant because you said it was in New Zealand too, which is exactly where
Yeah.
the movie was filmed, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's where they filmed the majority of the Lord of the Rings. I think all of it, maybe.
Yeah.
So it's New Zealand. It's got wizards.
Well, it doesn't anymore, I guess.
Oh, well, we could go apply. I think we should go there. New Zealand's awesome. They've got like a $20 minimum wage.
Yeah. I'd love to.
Yeah, I mean, look at this gray spot. I'm going to make a great wizard.
I was gonna say my beard. I can't. Just their beard alone is a problem for me. That's
What would be Benjamin's
can't.
wizard?
Oh,
Tall beard?
Wow.
tall
Tall
beard.
beard.
We'll let Benjamin
It's not
pick
a
his own
pirate.
name.
Like, I got a beard. I've got long hair. I am ready to be a wizard.
Perfect wizard.
You're-
Wizard of New Zealand. Wizard of Texas.
Benjamin the Tall.
It rolls off the
That's it.
tongue.
Texas wizard gone to New Zealand. Love it.
It rolls off the tongue.
I need to get some wizard robes. I guess now's the perfect time to buy some.
Is and the hat. You have to have the hat with the it has to be crooked.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh boy. Thank you for that, Benjamin. That was great. Man,
Great.
of all the stuff you think you're going to hear on this show, I really wasn't expecting that one.
Wizards today.
Wizards. Oh, genius idea. We
Uh-oh.
dress up Benjamin as a wizard and he has a confrontation with Hector. That would be brilliant. That'd be just brilliant. Benjamin versus Hector. The wizard versus case.
The
Prophet
prophetess.
versus wizard.
It's
Yeah.
prophetess, okay?
Yeah, prophetess versus.
Prophetess.
Sorry, it's synonymous with nutcase.
Yes, it is. Speaking of which,
Bentley, you got another.
I do. I don't know if you have the video.
I do.
All right.
You want me to
Up
just?
Brent.
We're
Brent.
ready to
So-
go when you.
We've got the video. I messed up one time.
But you messed up though. Okay,
One
so
time,
I'm gonna
Brent.
Now we'll be checking.
always say I don't
Christ
know if
teaches
Benjamin's fucking
forgiveness.
shitty and we don't have a video, so
Do not mock our wizard Benjamin the Wise.
How dare you?
Yeah.
I curse thee.
Benjamin the Wise. That might work. That might work.
I was-
There you
I
go.
was
I'm
a
with
Benjamin
you.
the Tall.
No.
Come on, I
No,
mean,
Benjamin the Wise.
Anyways, let's
Benjamin
get
the
on.
Tall
with-
Wise. Wise Tall.
Would you like
Sounds like a last
to
name.
queue up this video here?
should have
or
videos.
are we just
Yeah,
gonna-
let me give it a quick preface right here. Now, in this video, this is Greg Locke, one of
Of
our
course.
faves, you know, because he's fucking entertaining as hell.
Mhm.
And so in this one, he's of course because it's October, so every pastor, I don't know if you know this, every pastor this month basically has to already have 4 like anti-Halloween sermons all ready to go. Okay.
Oh, of
Oh,
course.
And
yeah.
this is clearly his. So yeah, we can go ahead and pull that up.
Let's just click this here and see what
Ooh.
happens.
Yeah.
Parents could literally give over one of their children for a demonic sacrifice. You study if I'm not telling you the truth.
What?
They
Okay.
would either have to give one of their children over to a demonic sacrificial system,
Wow.
or
Hold on. He's saying that we have to give our children over to a.
He's
That's
saying
what
this.
I'm hearing.
I like the part
This
where it
is-
says, "You study if I'm not telling you the truth." It's
Yeah.
what?
Study what? Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
He said do your research, which I'm going to get to it after this, because I did
Yeah. It's,
do my research, and it turns out he's full of shit. But let's go on.
I'm trying. It says it's playing, but it's not playing.
Oh, I hate it when it does
Okay.
that. It lies to
the
you.
treat
Here we go.
was their virgin daughter
Oh.
to be raped by demons.
Oh,
What the fuck?
Did you hear me?
Wait.
thing.
Stop it for a second. Stop it for a
I
second.
know a girl in this town.
So,
Hold on.
Nothing worse than rape demons.
so anyway, so
I mean, demons are bad enough. They don't have to.
when
be
you're talking
rapists
about
doing it.
like the term virgin that people don't understand in this context, what it means when you're talking about things like sacrificial spells or whatever, yada yada yada, virgin only means blood from someone you haven't used before, not someone who hasn't had sex.
Don't
Let's clarify that.
You're
Okay.
confusing the narrative here. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. Okay. Let's see if we can get this thing to play properly. Probably not. Next will be much better.
In this town that'll put her hand on a mile-high stack of Bibles and let you know that every night for over a year, she was raped in her bedroom by a demon, and it changed her life tragically forever. I'm telling you, that mess is a reality in the witchcraft world, and they know it, and they don't want us exposing it, but la-di-da-da, the cat's out the bag now, Jack. The black cat's out the bag now.
the black cat's out the bag, Jack.
So here's what would happen. You would either give your child or you would give your virgin daughter. And do you know what
Aren't
the
they both your
Druids
children?
would do in return?
Yes.
Exactly.
They leave you candy.
They would place a pumpkin, started with gourds. They would place a pumpkin on your porch with the face of a demon on it. And if you had obeyed the sacrificial satanic system, they would then put a light inside of it so the demon would pass your house.
Fuck off.
That is the cultural history and the truth behind the jack-o'-lantern.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
You did
It's
not
not.
give them the treat.
If you say something
The demon
confidently, it
on
makes
you
it
would play
true.
the trick.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where they got the phrase trick or treat.
Oh god.
My God.
Ah, that guy.
Oh,
My God. So with
Okay,
this
so
one,
Where do we start?
I know. So with this one, I swear to God, he started with trick. Okay, now a trick, as we all know, can be prostitution. Prostitution can be analogous to rape. Rape can be, it's like
Yeah, no kidding.
treat. What do
So
we
do you-
get? Coincidence? I don't
Yeah,
think so.
totally.
Right, and you have some girl who was having sex with her boyfriend every night, and that she got caught, and she's like, demon
It was a
rape.
demon. It was a demon.
Yeah.
Totally demon. They're like, did the demon rape you? And she's like, yes, whatever makes you leave me alone.
So,
Yeah, dude. Whoever that lady
real.
is.
behind the jack-o'-lantern, does anybody know?
I do know.
Okay.
Actually, the jack-o'-lantern before they came out pumpkins, they were actually made out of turnip, and they came from Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And there was a legend that Jack essentially he had to carve a turnip, and he basically made slits, and there was a light in there. There was like there was a whole story, but it didn't even start with a pumpkin. It started.
Well, that's what he said. It started with gourds.
Well, yeah, it was essentially a big turnip, and that
Okay.
was the proverbial lantern that he was using to walk around or something like that, and then it eventually became a pumpkin. Anyway, we'll get into that into our Halloween special.
Yeah, that's coming out.
But I want to know from our residential wizard, because this is the world of witchcraft. Is there any truth to anything that Pastor Locke said there, Rachel?
No.
Yep.
It was just like, I'm going to take some things and I'm going to see what makes sense and kind of what it seems logical. So this is a common grifter move. What you do is you take things that sound like they could be true and you say them with complete and utter confidence. And I will tell you, the majority of people will instantly just buy it.
Yes, they will.
I mean, that's the
idea that even if you believe that demons exist, that somehow if you put a jack-o'-lantern and you put a candle because you did the sacrifice somehow to demons are walking by and say, oh, did we visit that house? Oh yeah, he's got a jack. We did that. Okay.
There's my face right there on that pumpkin there. I better keep going.
That looks more like Bob. Is that Bob? Yeah, I think Bob. Bob went to that house.
Oh, Bob already got that one. Okay.
Yeah, does it have to be a particular demon face? So, like, if you make it a certain design, they're like, oh, that's Bob, but I don't like Bob, so I'm going to go there too.
Yes, you have you have to get one of the oil paintings they have in hell of their respected demons, and then you have to, picture it after that.
And is he also saying that's what demons look like? Because if that's the case.
Yeah, they're big orange and
have blowy eyes and triangle teeth, So.
Yeah, circle eyes, triangle nose.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
not very scary.
I don't know about you guys, but the idea of a demon coming by your house and there's a sign that basically says, "No, you've been to this house before. We did." This sounds eerily like the story of Passover,
right?
Yes. It does, right? Because it's exactly what happens. If you did the sacrifice, you put the blood over the door, and then the spirit doesn't come in to kill your firstborn.
Yep.
And no animal slaughter required.
But side note, there is this whole trend on TikTok of people using pressure washers to carve their pumpkin. And so, long story short, I need a pressure washer.
That seems like a very bad idea. I don't know.
It works.
A lot of pressure washers.
I apparently need TikTok. This is what I'm hearing.
Is it a low?
Yes.
Like, it's got to be a low fuck because it would just blast it into pieces if I used it with my pressure.
Here's the secret. Here's the secret. You get TikTok, and the secret is to follow the right hashtags. Like you can follow atheist hashtags. You can follow all kinds of hashtags. I follow random stuff. Like I follow cheese talk. Because I love cheese.
I want Bunny the dog.
Right. I have pimple popping because that's the whole thing.
Disgusting. Disgusting. Get that shit off of all of the fucking social anything. Any videos. Disgusting.
You'll randomly run into some crazy shit, but there is ways to report it because
Anyway,
I report all pimple popping.
Look, it had an active path.
Yeah.
We're talking about pumpkin carving.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, definitely, we need to do that.
Yeah, I think you got to carve your pumpkin with your pressure washer, but it has to be operated by your virgin daughter too. So anyway,
so real quick, Kevin, are we going to cover the history of Halloween on Halloween?
I think that's one of the things we can do during the show. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well then, let's just say that Greg Locke's wrong, and you'll find out why on Halloween.
Yeah, on Halloween.
We'll talk about the jack-o'-lantern on the Halloween for sure.
I'm excited.
Here on Let to the Valley, we love building drama and suspense.
That's right.
And we have a real wizard.
We do.
That's right.
All right, let's take a quick pause. And when we come back, we'll be talking to Dr. Hector Garcia about wokeness, the left, politics, the right, and whole bunch of things like that.
Yeah, everything.
Sounds great.
Stay with us.
It's where atheists gather. This is LATV 2.0.
Hi, I'm God, and I just wanted to make sure to tell you not to listen to Unapologetics on Stitcher and SoundCloud. That's Unapologetics with an X at the end. But, definitely do not listen to the show. I mean, I swear to me, alright, I will murder my son. kind of already did that, but just don't listen to the show, okay? Hey, Lucy.
Can you not call me that, okay? We already went over what my name is, okay? It's Lucifer.
All right, look, Luce. You want to come with me? I'm gonna go fuck with this guy, Joe.
No, don't do that, okay? Can you just leave him alone?
Yeah, I'm gonna kill his family.
No, don't do that.
I'm gonna give him sores all over his body.
Don't do that. That's disgusting.
And, I'm gonna kill all of his livestock. You know.
Stop saying things. Just stop.
And I'm gonna blame the whole thing on you. All right, let's go, bud. Remember, don't listen to Unapologetics on Stitcher and SoundCloud.
Hey, definitely listen to that show. It's awesome. It's really cool. He's really a dick.
I heard that.
I'm Amy with a Y.
And I'm Amy with an I.
And we're the hosts of Secular Soup, where each week we offer up a bowl of real talk about atheism, feminism, politics, parenting, and whatever else we want to talk about because it's our podcast.
Just listen to what these random dudes are saying about our show.
This is what would happen if Daria and Jane grew up and started a podcast.
So if you like extremely foul-mouthed ladies with opinions, this is the podcast for you.
Grab a bowl and taste the magic. Slurp even this.
All right, our returning champion is an evolutionary psychologist. He's the author of Alpha God, The Sex Power Partisanship. He's a snappy dresser, snazzy dancer. Dr. Hector Garcia, welcome back to Left of the Valley.
How did you know those last two things about me?
I know everything about you, my friend. I know everything. Big fan.
We've been watching you.
I knew it.
Yeah.
Now, for people that might not know Dr. Hector Garcia, not only is he brilliant, but he's an ass-kicking doctor because you see him train on that dummy. It's like, holy crap. People think I'm big, but that's my only protection against him. You know, I really have to pack up some dense muscle because I can see those punches coming and say, holy crap.
That's my own psychotherapy. So yeah, do a little Muay Thai.
Hey, I think it's good therapy.
Yeah.
But I'm not military pressing 250 pounds like you. Gosh, that's not normal. That's impressive though.
No,
yeah.
No, but, you know, on this show, I don't think anything is normal to begin with.
Accurate.
I'm normal. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you're the only normal one, Benjamin.
Benjamin's
I'm
a normal
very
one. And he's
extremely normal.
Dr. Garcia, for those of us that might not have heard you in the past, because we always have new listeners, maybe you'd be so kind to give us a quick bio as to who Dr. Garcia is.
Well, as you mentioned earlier, I'm a snazzy dresser and a fancy dancer. Is that what you said?
Pretty close, yeah.
But I'm a clinical psychologist, actually, with a big interest in evolutionary psychology, just because of all the things that it can tell us about who we are, all the social problems that it can shed light on. I primarily specialize in combat-related PTSD in my clinical work, but you know, I also write books and do empirical research and things like that.
Mm-hmm. And today we're going to tackle a topic that's somewhat controversial, and I really want to hear your opinion on this. We were going to talk about the woke movement, wokeness. Maybe you'd be so kind to maybe describe what you figure woke and wokeness is in your terms.
Well, that's kind of a topic of some debate. You know, some people on the extreme left would say there is no such thing as woke culture. There is no such thing as cancel culture. Other people on the extreme right use it as a talking point to disparage the left in ways that I think are unfair. But, you know, and from my perspective, one of the reasons I'm interested in having this conversation stems from my interest in tribalism. So that ancient psychology that has us turn inward to the tribe, demonize outsiders, demand conformity among our tribe mates. You know, from the 2016 election, we saw tribalism tear the United States apart, right? We're fighting each other in the streets. And so in response to that, that whole collapse, it felt like, in the US is what prompted my second book, Sex, Power, and Partnership. But I also think, and it was greatly a focus on tribalism among the political right, but I also think, you know, there are some inklings of tribalism on the political left too that should warrant some scrutiny.
Maybe for our listeners that might not know exactly what tribalism is, as a psychologist yourself, how would you describe tribalism in the human species?
Well, like I mentioned just a second ago, I think well, the main thing is that we evolved in small, close-knit groups of individuals, topping off at about 150 people. And that is how we spent most of our history as a species. So when you take a look at our evolutionary past, it was fraught with violence, with intertribal violence. I mean, some studies looking at contemporary hunter-gatherers find 30-40% of men in these societies are killed in intertribal warfare. I mean, imagine the city that you live in, 40% of the men being wiped out. So, for most of our history, except for the tiniest sliver, towards the front end, we lived warring other tribes, and we developed a psychology to help us survive that. And again, that psychology, entices us to turn inward, to see the outside as subhuman, see the outside as the enemy. And the problem, as I see it, is that psychology strains against how we live now. And we live now in these, giant societies filled with people who are cooperating. And, whenever we see breakdown from within, it is largely a result of that tribalistic psychology that strains to incorporate other people who are different than us. And I think that's at the heart of tribalism.
I think we see, as atheists and on the show, we see a lot of tribalism in politics and also in religion. And it really helps to explain, why something like Christianity, for example, will have this secrecy about itself and try to exclude all other people and not fitting a certain narrative. But now you are thinking that it's gone also beyond that, and it's come into the popular culture as wokeness. Am I correct?
I think that is one manifestation of tribalism. I mean, we certainly saw tribalism rear its ugly head on the right in the United States, build the wall, make America great again, attacking people, ethnic minorities, religious minorities on the streets. I mean, that's another, but, why I think it's important to study this on the left, if I may. I think that progressive causes have served to better humanity. For example, the emphasis on universal human rights and freedoms, women's rights, minority rights, securing those rights have been progressive causes. But there are aspects of the extreme right that sound a lot like the authoritarian right. In fact, a growing body of research is showing that what we would regard as the extreme left, or even woke culture, psychologically has a lot in common with the psychological right, the authoritarian right. One of which is conforming to what other people are doing, and there are other similarities too. But that is a piece that I think is dangerous, because societies are better places to live, in my opinion, when freedom of thought and consciousness is the norm. And so, there are such rabid responses about this topic of woke culture that, I can't tell you how many times I've spoken offline with, public intellectuals who told me, like, I'd really love to talk about this topic, but I'm afraid to. I'm afraid that people are just going to savage me. But, I think the topics that are most taboo, in my opinion, those are the ones that often require the most scrutiny.
Do you feel that maybe this fairly recent move on the part of people on the left to exclude others is essentially a reactionary response of protection?
Yes, I do. I think all of the all of our tribalistic responses are essentially a response of protection. They're fear generated, right? And sometimes the fears are imaginary and sometimes they're not. One of the ways that I conceptualize I guess psychological liberalism. I love evolutionary sciences, right? So one of the ways that I conceptualize this is that we are social species, right? And we're social species that live in dominance hierarchies. Liberalism, in many ways, is a psychology that helps us not fall down the hierarchy, right? Because there are those who try to make us, occupy a subordinate position in the hierarchy. And throughout our history, that had implications for our survival, right? If you were lower on the hierarchy, whether it's an individual within a group or a different group, you had less access to resources. You were attacked. You were excluded from things that we need to survive and reproduce. So I think in many ways, liberalism is a protection against that. It's a way to not be knocked down the chain. And that is why people who are, ethnic minorities, women, religious minorities, tend to champion those causes, because they tend to be in a disadvantaged position, right? Whereas people on the right, they tend to like the status quo, because the status quo usually involves them at the top. That's why people in kind of dominant classes tend to. But that's kind of a long-winded answer to your question. Like, yeah, I think it's fear of being marginalized, which is a legitimate fear.
It is a legitimate fear, and as a psychologist yourself, what do you guys see in the field are the effects of a person who is marginalized like that? How do you guys think that most people react to being quote unquote canceled?
Marginalized or canceled? Because I think those are two different things, right? If somebody is canceled, I think that speaks to kind of a heresy that has developed on the extreme left, where you can't talk about something. Whereas being marginalized, being a disadvantaged group, that's something different. I think there are different psychological impacts of those two things.
Do you feel that somebody who has been marginalized in that sense, do you feel that response that they're on the receiving end of, does it have a tendency to reinforce their bias, their preconceived bias about a particular opinion or subject?
Like, tell me a little bit more so I can answer your question more intelligently. Like, in what way?
I'm saying, so for example, if I was to be marginalized or canceled on because I have a particular opinion, would that have the effect of reinforcing my conviction?
Oh, sure. I mean, you mean if like you were discriminated against? Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, or if I was to have an opinion that was very unpopular, but people are basically shunning me away for having a very unpopular opinion, does that make me have a tendency to revisit my opinion and have a serious look at it, or does it reinforce my conviction?
That is a good question. So it depends on the individual. Some people will not go with the sway, right? Some people will say no. This idea, even if it's from my own tribe, this is wrong. And other people will relent, right? Even though they have a dissenting opinion, they're going to go with the flow because they don't want to be marginalized. And this is fear-based. And one of the things I think humanity has to contend with most is the fear of being ejected from the tribe. I think all kinds of false beliefs, all kinds of unhelpful beliefs, all kinds of divisive beliefs can be maintained out of that fear. And something I say all the time, I've probably said it to you in the past, is that, in our past, how we spent most of our history, being abandoned by the tribe was a death sentence. Mm-hmm. Right? How long could we survive? How long could you survive in the wilds of northern Canada by yourself with nothing but stone tools if we were to drop you off out there or anywhere? Mm-hmm. So we're terrified about that. So I think there's even though today, if we got abandoned by our social group, it's really not gonna kill us, right? We can go to the grocery store, we can, but we have this wiring from our evolutionary past that finds that very threatening. So, I think that leads to professing things that are illogical, like religious beliefs, or this idea that COVID-19 is a hoax, or whatever other idea that one might have a dissenting opinion about, we hide that from ourselves. We hide that from ourselves so our tribe mates won't see it and abandon us.
Now we can't talk. Sorry, Ben, go for it.
Oh, no. So I actually think that was one of those things with people getting behind Trump, is because they believed things like COVID-19 was a hoax. They believed all this QAnon stuff, and Trump was reinforcing those. And so that's why that tribe picked up, because all the stuff that was leaving them separated from society was now someone in power saying, no, you're right, you're here.
Yeah, there's definitely a power. There's definitely people with in positions of power definitely have the influence to manipulate those kinds of thoughts. And that is why I think understanding our political psychology, our evolved psychology, our tribalistic psychology is so important, because those at the top know how to poke that. Yeah. They know how to poke that and get us to fight each other on the streets. And there's evidence that Russia, for instance, spent, I'm talking like $500,000 to spread misinformation and division during the 2016 election. That's a bargain. That doesn't take much, to get us to fight each other in the streets. And that includes extreme views on the right and the left that are put out on social media to get us to take an extreme stance one way or the other, right? So we can fight each other. That's how other nations are dividing us, by poking our tribalistic psychology in that way.
Yeah.
I find it interesting that we're talking about how isolating yourself, I should say, being isolated from the tribe is a primal reaction, and it feels like a death sentence. But at the same time, we can't have this conversation without talking about conspiracy theories, and the vast majority of us don't believe in conspiracy theories. So when you do get into a conspiracy theory, do you not voluntarily isolate yourself from the tribe, from the proverbial tribe? And that seems to be counterintuitive. Yet people do it.
Not unless your tribe is, not if your tribe are conspiracy theorists, right? So
yeah, we have the internet.
Yeah, we can all be connected to one another that believe our.
You find all the people that believe everything you believe, and you're not alone anymore.
Yeah.
But the phenomenon of conspiracy theories predates the internet by a long time.
Of course.
So I mean, what makes a person want to self-isolate from the tribe? I mean, to the dawn of internet, you can find a new tribe really quickly, but even before that, what makes a person leap from the safety of the tribe to a very uncertain position of I might be by myself thinking about this conspiracy theory. I might be the only one, with the tinfoil hat. That seems very counterintuitive, I would say.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just read a paper on this very topic a few days ago, and I would contend that it wouldn't be a move to isolate yourself from the tribe. I mean, there's a certain appeal to this idea that I know something that other people don't know, right? And there's a certain reward to ego, for that sort of thinking. But in order to prove ourselves to the tribe, prove our loyalty to the tribe, we often show signals of commitment. Mm-hmm. And, we developed a way to do that, to root out cheaters on a reciprocal exchange, right? If we're cooperating with somebody, if we have cooperative relationships with the tribe, we want to make sure that other people aren't cheating on that exchange, right? Other people aren't getting a free ride while we're taking all the risks, doing all the work. One way that we do that is by showing signals of commitment that are hard to fake. So fasting rituals in religion, long pilgrimages, if you're going to, scarring rituals that you see in some tribalistic societies. So if you're going to go through the trouble of doing all of that to belong to the group, there's a good chance that you're not faking it just to be a free rider on our labors, right? Does that make sense? So
yeah,
sometimes the signals of commitment are an idea, and if it's a bizarre idea that isolates you from other people, then you're really showing commitment. Like, I believe this, and I'm going to say this publicly. I'm going to burn bridges with rational people who think otherwise. You know, that is a show of commitment to say something so radical and crazy. And so other people see it like, oh, okay, yeah, he's one of us. You know.
Has politics now become something akin to fans of a certain sports team? I mean,
it's always been.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to matter what your team does even if they cheat, as long as they win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that is the nature of tribalism, and
that's very interesting.
And that's why I even bother having conversations about woke culture, because I think so generally speaking, when you look at people across the political spectrum, people on the left tend to be less tribalistic in general. People on the right tend to be a little bit more. You know, I know that's going to like incense a lot of people by saying that, but you know, you can measure this. You can measure, people where people fall on a spectrum called xenophobia, xenophilia, right? We may have talked about this. Xenophobia is where you really are afraid of outside people. You really were, and it could be anybody, an outside political orientation, sexual orientation, color, whatever. Whereas xenophilia, you're more attracted to outside people. You want to talk with people from the outside tribe. You want to learn from them. You want to travel. You want to do things like that. Where you fall on that spectrum pretty strongly predicts what your political orientation is. And you can guess in what direction, right? The more politically conservative you are, the more xenophobic you are, and vice versa. But there are, please, you have a question?
Oh, I was about to say, no, you're the guest. But I was about to comment. Of course, xenophobia is also very primal, because there was a time in our evolutionary past where a stranger coming into the tribe could bring disease, or it could be a killer or something like that. And I think it was very, very primal instinct to stranger danger, fear the stranger, because you don't know what you're dealing with.
Stranger danger was legit in our evolutionary past. I mean, you don't just walk over the hill into the other tribe smiling. You're going to get killed. Especially if you're a man. Especially if
you
you're
ain't
male.
from around here, are you?
That's right. That's right.
Just sounded big enough for the two of us.
That was the law of the land. But every group has their own natural curve, right? There are some people in the leftist camp that happen to be more on the xenophobic end of the spectrum, and just there's so many psychological traits that the extreme left share with the extreme right, and one of them is cognitive rigidity, and that I think is really interesting. The inability to see nuance. Seeing things in black and white terms. In general, psychological liberals show greater cognitive flexibility, but they show an ability to update your perspective based on new information, for example. Whereas people who, I think it's more accurate to say people who can't do that, people who see things in more black and white, tend to be in the right, in the camp, the conservative camps. And I like to say it in that direction because those psychological traits far predated what we call political conservatism and political liberalism. But on the right, we might see, like a stance on abortion. Killing a fetus is wrong, period. Not being able to see the nuance of this debate. For example, at what point does a fetus achieve personhood? Or what about the cases of incest or rape? Doesn't matter, right, wrong, not inability to see that nuance. So through psychological testing, we see similar kinds of cognitive rigidity on people who are on the extreme left. So that may sound like, racism is bad, therefore any discussions of the dark side of, let's say, Islam must mean you're an Islamophobe, must mean you're a racist. Discrimination against LGBT is wrong, therefore any discussion about whether trans women should compete with cisgender women in the Olympics, you must be a transphobe for even bringing up that debate. Having difficulty seeing nuance. And not only that, but like, if you do bring up topics like that, you're seen as being part of the outside tribe. and that is the essential turn of tribalism. You're either with us or you're against us. You know,
I'm when it comes to things like wokeness, I'm sitting on the fence on a lot of things, because on one point I absolutely understand, for lack of a better term, the need to cancel some people. I was having this discussion with Seth Andrews one time, and I was because free speech, for example, in Canada and the U.S. are two different things. There's two different levels of free speech in our respective countries. And I said to him, Seth was basically saying you can only go with free speech and you could just beat bad ideas with more discussion and new ideas. But I replied to him and said, but you take, for example, a white supremacist or an anti-Semite. We had an entire world war to basically for the world to come together and say, yes, Jews have a right to exist. Can we not put this case closed? You know, we don't need to discuss this in the public domain. Do Jews need to constantly have to defend their right to exist? If you give free speech, unrestricted free speech, to a bigot like that, to an anti-Semite, are you not just simply rehashing something that we've already had a war for? I mean, do I understand the point of canceling a person like that, and I don't know. I can understand how it also goes overboard, but at some point, I guess my question is,
where do you draw the line?
Where do we draw the line? Are we capable as a species to handle a thing such as unrestricted, unfeathered free speech?
That's a terrific question. It's a complex question. The answer is probably very complex.
You weren't expecting that, were you?
I was actually, and I agree. I agree with you. I think some people should be canceled. You know, Harvey Weinstein's of the world. I mean, the anti-Semites. You know, the whites. I think some people deserve to be canceled. I think we have this fear that if we start restricting some kinds of free speech, that it's just going to be, you know, a downhill slope from there, and before you know it, you know, it's going to be, you know, Soviet era, you know, censorship or something like that.
But I think we really need to look at the word canceled, though, because the way people react to it, they react to canceled like a death sentence, like we're going to just murder you now. Whereas in reality, when we're talking about canceling people, we're talking about removing their platform. You know, like, so if Weinstein does something crazy, we're not making him so he can't talk. We're just not giving him shows that he can produce and all that stuff to put out. We're just removing his platform.
Yeah, I mean, I think just like anything, there are examples of sensible instances of cancellation, and some where it just becomes, you know, a heresy that a group has, so that if you don't pass a very, very, very strict litmus test, you must be from the outside tribe and you're canceled. Yeah. That's the thing where it's just, it can be way too imprecise. So people who you know, might be on our side, and people who might be talking about something that's you know, a legitimate conversation, might be summarily canceled. You know, and that I think weakens leftist causes, right? Because it may be too strict and imprecise. That's my concern with cancel culture.
Yeah, it can get out of hand for sure. I mean, that's, you know, I've always said that, like, you know, it seems like it can, you know, a lot of people can get caught in a crossfire of something that I think, for the most part, a lot of it is just, it seems to me anyway, I could be wrong, of course, that it's almost unavoidable. You know what I mean? Like, we have the internet, people respond to things. The more people respond in a negative way, then it becomes trending. The people that, you know, decide if this person gets a platform or not is looking at what's trending. Therefore, it's just sort of like, I don't even know how would we even go about saying, hey, we can't do this, because everybody's going to say their opinions about stuff. And we can't really, you know, we can't stop that. And if enough people have the opinion that this person did or said something that deserved them to not be able to be on Twitter or whatever anymore, like, what can we really do about that? You know what I mean?
I must say real quick, though, I miss Donald Trump on Twitter because that shit was hilarious.
Great entertainment.
I guess the question that goes, sorry, it was you.
Well, no, because we're talking about like the far left and how wokeness can be dangerous, and I see it. I'm in a lot of far left, what they would call left book groups on Facebook, and you can't even be in the middle. It's not allowed. The minute you're in the middle, you're on the right. And I'm one of the most accepting people you'll ever meet, but I've never seen such censorship as I have in far left groups. I've had to leave a few. I can't be in them.
So that is, how is that different from, you know, the heresies of religion, which are, you know, more conservative, you know, politically and psychologically?
Yeah, you don't feel any different psychologically. You get the same feelings, and it's it's kind of
well, and in fact, you know, sorry, Kevin. In fact, but there's research looking at this kind of foundational psychological instrument used to measure political conservatism called right-wing authoritarianism. And this measure has three factors: conformity, aggression against outsiders, and submission to authority. So people on the far right, I mean, these are signature psychological traits of people on the far right. You know, those, like, you know, people in church groups who think that if you don't dress like we do, or you know, have the same belief in a specific dogma, you're out. You are out. And people walk around being afraid to you know, to voice any kind of dissenting opinion. Well, when you study people on the extreme left, they score high on this measure. So it's kind of like the same psychology, right? And that's the part that scares me.
Yeah, there's that saying that if you go far enough left, you get your guns back in the States. And, you know, you kind of, it's kind of the same argument applies. You go far enough left and you find the right again. Like, it's
that horseshoe image.
Horseshoe theory.
Earlier on, Sabrina was talking about the proverbial line and the slippery slope. It seems right now the proverbial line, for lack of a better term, is in the I'm going to use another metaphor here, in the marketplace of ideas. In the general public, the public is essentially kind of popularizing and deciding where that line is. In our past, when we ever had new laws or something like that, and we realized the marketplace's idea of the marketplace was not a good place for these laws to be effective, we've turned to government to regulate and create basically a template. Has the time come for people to get together and with government and basically, for lack of a better term, regulate free speech?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, it's a scary proposition, but you're right. I mean, that government can step in when the court of public opinion, you know, becomes a witch hunt. You know, that's why we have government. But I think on the other side, you know, the court of public opinion can step in where public institutions fail us. I think achieving that balance, that's what a representative government is all about. Whether or not we have that in the United States, that's a whole different conversation. But
we already kind of do self-regulate at some point, right? I mean, the classic example is we can't go into a movie theater and yell fire. So we already kind of self-regulate ourselves. But and if you go to other countries, like in Canada, for example, for American listeners, the difference in Canada between hate speech, for example, is if I say, for example, I hate people from Parador. By the way, Parador is not a real country. Right? It's just Paraguay. So I just made up a country here. So you say, I hate people from Parador. You can say that. But if you say in Canada, I hate people from Parador and we should kill them, you've crossed that line. You've incited hatred. You've incited violence. And that's against the law at that point. So do we need this same type of regulation in the States, or is it too late? Is the genie, have we escaped from the bottle? Can we put it back inside, or is it like too late? The Americans have had unrestricted free speech. There's no way in hell we're going to put that genie back in there.
Oh gosh, I don't know. I'm curious to know what you guys think. I mean, I'm not. I wouldn't say that I'm conversant with all the hate speech laws, but I think you can't make threats like that. I mean, if you make threats, that's considered a misdemeanor, you know. And there are some, probably go state by state, but there are hate speech laws that you know you can get in trouble for if you take it too far. I'm just not familiar with all the particularities.
Yeah, one of the classic examples is the Westboro Baptist Church. which is, of course, huge pushers of hate speech. When they tried to come to Canada a few years ago to basically.
They were going to have a rally.
They were going to have a rally at some soldier's funeral, something like that. And
right, yeah, we didn't.
Canada Customs said no, you're not coming in the country.
Yeah.
So
yes,
I mean,
Steven Anderson is basically banned from the fucking world. Like he can't leave.
I think he's a lot of Uruguay, isn't he?
Is that the leader of that church? Is that
No,
he's a different, but he's very similar. Yeah, almost the same type of thing.
He's a
I would know.
God hates gay kind of guy.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, countries are I think are right for banning those buffoons, man. That's just...
Yeah, but we have trouble doing it to our own, so
Yeah.
It still happens here. The hate speech still goes on. It's just local and about our own.
Sorry, but my biggest question here is: we all have this tendency to do these things. Like we sometimes see things as black and white. We get stuck in this tribalistic mentality.
Mm-hmm.
How do we counter that? What do we do to stop that? Stop ourselves from doing that?
Well, that's a great question. I don't think it's going to be easy. I think what I always suggest in virtually every public platform that I ever have is teaching critical thinking skills in public schools.
Oh yeah.
Teaching about the psychology of tribalism, teaching evolutionary psychology, teaching the psychology of politics, and to show people how all of these hot buttons get manipulated. There's a concept called instinct blindness, and that's essentially the idea that the older our instinct, the more it operates underneath the radar of our conscious awareness. And we need to overcome that instinct blindness. The only way you can do it is through education, by teaching people that, so they can recognize when it's happening, so they can recognize the blatant, prodding that happens in the media by our politicians and our news organizations that are bought and paid for, especially in the United States, because they do that. And they incite division for their own gains, as do other countries, so we need to be aware of these. So
we got to do the work, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
We have to bring these instincts to the surface for examination.
Yeah.
But would the governments really be on board for that? Because when you teach your population about what you're doing and how you're doing it, you're more resistant to what you're doing and how you're doing it. So at the end of the day, I think they want to keep your population kind of ignorant.
It depends on the government, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have an idea here, and let's see if the good doctor agrees with me. I think that the tribalism will happen the more you expand the tribalism will lessen the more you expand the tribe. In the early days of the American colony, you were like either from Massachusetts or from North Carolina, and you were bad-mouthing the other state. When the United States became one country, you're much more likely to bad-mouth a Mexican than an American, as an American citizen. So what if we expanded that as a world, where all of a sudden the entire world is one united world, like, for lack of a better term, a new world order? Then at that point, we'd have to find another enemy. We'd have to, we'd be bad-mouthing Martians or something, right?
Right. We need some aliens to show up, and we're like, those guys from...
Give the Independence Day speech, and we'll be good.
Is this how tribalism was essentially always remained but disappear? The bigger the tribe gets, essentially, the more we incorporate, and the less divisions that we have as a planet? Is that a realistic way to see, from a psychological point of view, tribalism disappear, quote unquote?
Well, you would not be the first person to ask that question. I think people have talked about this one world order, and questioned whether or not, the limitations of our own social brains would stretch that far, or would we factionalize? History shows that we tend to factionalize, but gosh, if you get a chance, read Steven Pinker's "Better Angels of Our Nature," which talks about Yeah, it's giant, and it's incredibly well laid out and well researched and well written. I mean, we are kind of moving towards that. We're cooperating on a global scale in ways that we have never been seen before. So I think when those divisions fall, yeah, I think we're more civil to one another. We have been. I think the less superstitious we are too. I think the more we think critically, I think that helps too.
I mean, the history of both our respective countries proves that. I mean, the reason Canada became Canada was essentially to protect ourselves against the U.S., right? The provinces joined together because they at the time the mentality was it's a lot harder to swallow a big orange than to swallow piece by piece, right? Because the Americans were developing so fast. So, and America did the same thing. United we stand, blah, blah, blah. So, and now, of course, today, in this as we speak, there's a lot of economic agreements between Canada and U.S., which makes essentially our two countries almost the same economic power.
Yeah.
And if we were to develop an entire world like that, I mean, could you imagine if we were in a world today where New York, the state of New York, were attacked with guns, the state of California? Of course not. It's unheard of. So if the entire world was like that, then the wars would kind of eventually cease right away too.
Yeah, and then the whole economy crashes because there's nothing to fund.
I don't. Yeah, that's an entire new subject. So moving forward, Dr. Garcia, how do you see us to jump on Benjamin's question? How do you see us evolve away from this tribalism? I guess
Understanding it, and understanding how fear subverts rational thinking. I mean. Understanding how we believe irrational things to belong, and engage in self-deceit, because a lot of times, we deceive ourselves so that we won't be discovered by our tribe mates. If you have a dissenting thought about a religious idea about whether or not COVID-19 is real and vaccines are, they're implanting whatever into you and they homing device or whatever, a lot of times we convince ourselves so that in order to belong, we need to understand self-deceit. I think fortunately, from the 2016 election forward, there's been a lot more attention paid to our tribalistic psychology. I think it needs to be a staple topic in public education starting very early. Either that or we redesign, through CRISPR or something like that, redesign our genome. That's the only way, because we're still carrying these tendencies forward.
And the scariest part is, for all throughout our history, very smart con men have used that primitive psychology to manipulate people. But now with the advent of people like Donald Trump, it seems every dumb people can do it too. So that to me is
Donald. Part. I still wonder, is he like some crazy reach?
I think he knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
Like I said, he was giving a voice and he was using his position of power and his, basically his out there-ness. Like he was there, he was loud. And he said to all these people that were considered crazy and fringe people, no, you're actually right. This is what's actually happening. And they all jumped on board with him. So I think he knew exactly what he was doing.
It's interesting that he essentially created a new tribe, is what he did.
Yeah.
So
he saw one that needed a leader.
Dumb people with smart political advisors.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. Dr. Garcia, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Really, really appreciate that. If people want to find out more about your books and what Dr. Garcia is doing, where can they find you?
Just my website, hector-garcia.com. That's the easiest way.
There you go.
Always a pleasure talking with you.
Of course.
Yes.
Dr. Garcia, before we let you go, I got to have you say, hi, this is Dr. Garcia, and I took a left at the valley.
Hi, this is Dr. Garcia, and I took a left at the valley.
Fantastic. And that was Dr. Hector Garcia. Always a pleasure to have him.
Hi, first time I've seen his face.
What an interesting conversation. And I think it's something that needs to be much more talked about. And there's a lot of subtlety in that conversation and a lot of level. You almost have to peel the conversation like an onion, I guess, because there's a lot of level. It's not just wokeness, it's tribalism, it's politics, it's very primitive to the point that you almost makes you wonder, as a species, are we capable of handling the kind of power or even the kind of society that we're in right now?
Mm-mm.
We might not be able to.
Not in the psychology that we have today, I don't think.
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
What would you guys think?
Yeah, I don't think honestly, I mean, it was like you were saying, like most of our brains are capable of like understanding a community. So like what, which is like he said, like I think about 100 people, right? We know
Yeah.
what's going on down the street. We know what's going on with, Baker Wilkins or whatever, and what he's saying. But our brains are not like really good at global scale information. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so a lot of us are, and then I think the other problem is that we kind of like will judge each other based upon our level of knowledge. And we never stop to realize that people are always learning things. We're always growing. You might just not know something, right? But you get chastised for that in certain communities. It's just like at the church, if you don't know this particular verse and this doctrine or whatever, you're chastised for it, and it's like, but I just didn't know, I've only been a Christian.
Joined.
Yeah, like,
it's my first day.
And so I think that plays a big role in things like, well, you should have known. Okay, ignorance isn't an excuse for breaking the law. Well, I mean, it's not a law, but anyway,
Ignorance isn't an excuse, but I'm not going to educate you, so you just stay ignorant.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or just cast you out,
Right? Yeah,
you didn't know, so you should have known and didn't. Fuck it.
Like there's so many levels in this conversation, and it seems
an hour just isn't enough.
Oh no,
to
no.
dig
For us on the left, we have a tendency to view the future more almost like in the Star Trek universe, where people have come together as one and all that. But when you think of tribalism in that aspect, if we do not get over this very primitive instinct of tribalism, that utopia society might be unreachable. And that's a scary, scary thought.
But even if you look at Star Trek, the tribalism isn't gone. They have the Federation, and then there's the people against the Federation.
Right. Yeah, still...
You wouldn't have a show if there wasn't...
They have the alien species to replace that second tribe, right? So that's going to be very interesting to see. God knows in the future. Let's do some time traveling. Let's find out if we can get there.
I will. Yes. Do you have the time machine? Is it in Canada right now?
Yeah, we're fixing the bucket back there.
Yes. We're going to get it to 88 miles per hour, I promise.
No, thank you so much for Dr. Hector Garcia for being a guest on the show. Thank you to Sabrina, Benjamin, and Brent Lee for being my guests, my co-host. Wow, jeez.
Do you want to try that again?
Yes, thank you for Sabrina, Benjamin, and Brent Lee for being my co-host. And thank you for listening. You can follow us at leftofthevalley.ca. You can go to Facebook, facebook.com/LATV, or is it Left of the Valley?
No, Left of the Valley.
Left of the Valley. You can go on Twitter at LATV Podcast.
And
YouTube as well.
At YouTube/Left at the Valley.
Yes, and you can send us an email at leftatthevalley@outlook.com. And what's the other email?
Kevin at leftofthevalley.ca.
Yeah, apparently.
Oh, wow. You got your own.
Kevin.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we get one too?
I want a Brent at Left at the Valley.
I'll get it for you.
Give us a 5-star review where you find us. It helps us and helps others find the show. And you don't forget, you can also become a patron at patreon.com/LATV. Perfect. Coming up, Brent, while I'm doing that,
Unapologetics panel stream. Check it out on YouTube. We meet every Wednesday night at 11:30 p.m. and we basically just watch a bunch of clips. It's a lot of fun.
Fantastic. Coming up next week, we'll be talking to old friend Mike Wiseman about his new book. That'll be fun. And of course, then we'd have our Halloween special.
Crap, I gotta start preparing for that.
Story. After that, in November, we'll have Dr. Edward Hodge, who will be talking about the free man movement. And we'll also have something about revisiting Hinduism with living that happily.
Whoa, that was...
Our old friend Dr. Ben Davis comes back to talk about nuclear power. And also our other old friend, Bernard Laborel, comes back and talks about his new book as well. And then we'll be in December talking about Christmas. Whew.
Sheesh.
So for my Halloween episode, I've just recorded my children because that's scary as shit.
That's sounds like a great idea.
Kids are terrifying.
Do you realize that we're almost 1 year into Left at the Valley?
2.0, yeah.
2.0. Wow, really?
Yeah,
Holy
it was
shit.
about February this year that we restarted.
And congratulations to our winner of the trilogy of time charts yet again.
Yes.
And we'll get in touch with you. Thank you so much, guys. Until next time.
Ooh.
but I swear to God.